Why intelligent men terrify most women. She'll never admit this. There's something paradoxical happening in the dating world today. Women claim they want a man who is intelligent, emotionally mature, grounded, and self-aware. But when they finally meet such a man, something inside them recoils. It's not that he's done anything wrong. It's that his depth forces her to see parts of herself she's spent a lifetime avoiding. The intelligent man doesn't just speak differently, he listens differently. He asks questions that aren't meant to manipulate or flatter, but to penetrate the mask. And for many women, especially those conditioned by surface-level validation and romantic fantasy, this kind of presence is terrifying. Why? Because it strips away the illusion of control. Most modern women are accustomed to men who chase them out of emotional desperation. They know how to deal with the man who puts her on a pedestal, who confuses obsession with love. But the intelligent man doesn't play this game. He sees her, but not as an idol. He sees her humanity, her wounds, her contradictions, and this level of vision is often too raw to bear. Carl Jung once said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. That includes rejecting love that feels too real. The intelligent man doesn't offer escape. He offers reflection. And for someone not ready to face themselves, reflection feels like a threat, not a gift. Intelligent men are mirrors. They reflect not only their own inner clarity, but whatever has remained unresolved in the other person. If a woman is unconsciously carrying shame, insecurity, or unresolved trauma, being in the presence of a deeply aware man will make her feel exposed. Not because he's shaming her, but because his presence doesn't allow for pretense. Most people in relationships are performing. They're trying to be liked, trying to maintain an image, trying to avoid rejection. But the intelligent man isn't performing. He's already made peace with who he is. And when a woman meets that kind of authenticity, she either rises to meet it or runs from it. There's a shadow that exists in many women who have not done their inner work. It's the shadow of powerlessness disguised as empowerment. On the outside, she may appear confident, sexy, independent. But internally, she may be struggling with emotional immaturity, unresolved father wounds, and fear of true intimacy. The intelligent man sees this, not to condemn it, but because he cannot unsee what is obvious. Many women say they want a man who can lead, but what they really mean is a man they can still control. The intelligent man is not easily manipulated. He's not emotionally reactive. He doesn't get jealous just because someone flirts with her. He doesn't become needy when she pulls away. And because of this, she doesn't know how to hook him emotionally. That's where fear creeps in. If she can't manipulate him emotionally, she fears she can't secure him. And if she can't secure him, she starts to question her own value. Instead of examining that fear, it's easier to label him as emotionally unavailable or accuse him of being too distant, when in reality, he's simply not codependent. Codependent men feel familiar to emotionally immature women. They chase, they plead, they overgive, they fall too fast. It makes her feel powerful, even if she doesn't respect him. But when she meets a man who doesn't chase, who doesn't try to fix or rescue her, she feels powerless. And this is often mistaken for incompatibility. Let's be clear, intelligent men do not lack emotion. In fact, their emotional range is often vast, but it is disciplined. It is not poured out recklessly or used to create false intimacy. The intelligent man does not confuse vulnerability with bleeding out in front of someone who hasn't earned trust. His restraint is not coldness, it is wisdom. Women who are emotionally underdeveloped will interpret that restraint as disinterest. They're so accustomed to being emotionally overfed by men who want something from them that they don't recognize healthy emotional boundaries when they see them. They call it cold, stoic, or even robotic. But in reality, it is what emotional sovereignty looks like. There is another factor that makes intelligent men so intimidating. They see patterns. They see through flattery. They catch contradictions. They notice when words and actions don't align. This kind of awareness is deeply uncomfortable for someone who is still hiding behind charm, performance, or manipulation. The intelligent man sees through games, not because he's cynical, but because he's studied human behavior, often through his own pain. He has watched himself fall for illusions and learned to stop blaming others. His intelligence is not just cognitive, but emotional and existential. He doesn't just ask, "What do you want?" He asks, "Why do you want it?" This kind of questioning can unravel a person, especially someone who hasn't done their inner work. Because the intelligent man doesn't try to possess you, he tries to understand you. He isn't captivated by your beauty alone. He wants to know if your beauty is a mask or a mirror of your soul. In today's culture, many women are praised for how they look and punished for how they feel. This leads to a deep emotional disconnect within them. They are taught to perform desirability, but never to examine their internal wounds. So when a man doesn't respond to their desirability the way others do, they feel invisible, even threatened. The intelligent man does not pedestalize beauty. He may appreciate it, but it doesn't hypnotize him. What moves him is congruence, when the outer expression matches the inner truth. That's rare. And because it's rare, he often finds himself alone or misjudged. Many women cannot understand why they lose interest in the good man. The man who listens, who respects her, who challenges her to grow. They say, "I should like him. He's perfect on paper." But deep down, something feels off. That off is not about the man. It's about what he awakens within her, an awareness of her own lack of emotional maturity. Women conditioned by chaos associate love with emotional highs and lows. Drama feels like connection. Stability feels boring. Depth feels suffocating. Why? Because depth requires her to show up fully, not just as an object of desire, but as a full human being. And if she hasn't accepted herself, she can't handle being fully seen. So she runs, or she self-sabotages, or she labels him too intense, too serious, too intimidating, not realizing that what she's actually afraid of is being truly known. The intelligent man is not asking her to be perfect. He's asking her to be honest. And for many, honesty is a much greater threat than rejection. Honesty demands self-confrontation. And self-confrontation is brutal for someone who has built their identity on external approval. The intelligent man doesn't validate her wounds. He exposes them, gently but unmistakably. And while that can be the beginning of healing, it also demands a level of maturity that not everyone is ready for. There's a hidden resentment some women carry toward emotionally sovereign men, not because he harmed them, but because he refuses to play the game. The push-pull, the chase, the overinvestment, none of it moves him. And because he's not easily manipulated, she can't feel in control. For someone addicted to control, this feels like rejection. What she doesn't realize is that the intelligent man is the safest man she'll ever meet. Not safe because he conforms to her ego, but safe because he doesn't abandon truth. He's not governed by lust, desperation, or fear of being alone. His presence is rooted. He knows who he is. But that stability often scares those who don't. Most people are drawn to what feels familiar, not what is healthy. And if her familiarity is rooted in chaos, dysfunction, or emotional inconsistency, then the calm of the intelligent man will feel foreign, even suspicious. She may accuse him of being cold or emotionally unavailable, when in truth, he's simply not emotionally volatile. Intelligent men don't seek validation through relationships. They bring their fullness to them. That's the difference. They are not looking for someone to complete them. They are looking for someone who doesn't diminish their completeness. And that alone disqualifies anyone still operating from a place of emotional hunger. The intelligent man has likely endured a season of deep loneliness, not because he couldn't attract people, but because very few can meet him at the level of depth he requires. He would rather walk alone in truth than compromise with someone who only wants his surface. His solitude isn't a phase, it's a filter. This man isn't bitter, he's boundaried. He doesn't generalize women or blame them for his solitude. He simply knows that love without self-awareness is just trauma in disguise, and he would rather be misunderstood than participate in the cycle of romantic dysfunction. Many women confuse emotional availability with emotional indulgence. They expect a man to constantly reassure, affirm, and chase. But the intelligent man expresses love through presence, honesty, and intentionality, not performance. He's not here to fill emotional voids. He's here to share truth. The women who thrive with intelligent men are not always the most beautiful, but the most honest. They don't try to impress, they reveal. They're not interested in power games. They're interested in growth. They're not perfect, but they're willing. And that willingness is everything. A woman who has done her inner work will not feel scared by his intensity. She will be nourished by it. Because she's not intimidated by someone who sees her. She welcomes it. She has nothing to hide. She doesn't need to perform. She's already made peace with her imperfections. But that kind of woman is rare. And until she arrives, the intelligent man walks alone. Not in bitterness, but in clarity. Not in ego, but in alignment. He knows what he brings, and he refuses to settle for someone who only wants a fraction of him. That refusal is misread by many. They say he's too picky, too proud, too isolated. But what they don't understand is that discernment is not arrogance. It's self-respect. When a man has cultivated depth, he is no longer excited by shallow validation. He doesn't chase energy that drains him. The intelligent man doesn't just want companionship, he wants resonance. Someone whose mind excites him, whose heart challenges him, whose presence doesn't demand dilution. That's a rare combination. And because it's rare, he's prepared to wait. Intelligent men have depth, but they also have standards. And those standards are not negotiable. Not because they're rigid, but because they've learned the cost of compromising them. Every time they betrayed their own truth for love, they paid for it in silence, anxiety, or disconnection. Now, they choose alignment. There's a spiritual aura around the intelligent man. He may not speak in religious language, but his relationship with truth is sacred. He sees through illusions. He feels energy. He recognizes unconscious patterns. And when a woman meets him, she doesn't just meet a man, she meets herself through his awareness. That kind of spiritual presence either awakens her or triggers her. Because if she's been living in denial, the light he carries will feel like exposure. But if she's been seeking wholeness, that same light will feel like home. The difference is not in him, it's in where she is on her journey. Intelligent men don't need to prove themselves. Their presence does the speaking. They don't over-explain, overshare, or over-pursue. They observe, they listen, they speak with intention. And that kind of restraint can feel intimidating for anyone who's used to being pursued without merit. He does not fear solitude. He's made peace with it. In fact, solitude is where he sharpened his mind, healed his heart, and integrated his shadow. That's why he's not addicted to attention. He knows the difference between connection and codependency, between attraction and alignment, between desire and resonance. The intelligent man has faced himself, and because of that, he can face you. He doesn't need to control, correct, or convert you. He simply offers his truth and watches how you respond to it. If you run, he lets you go. If you stay, he builds slowly. But he never chases chaos again. That is why women who are still rooted in ego fear him. Because he cannot be seduced by surface, because he will not play the fool, because he doesn't fall for masks, because he is already whole. And wholeness is the enemy of emotional manipulation. He doesn't make decisions based on urgency. He moves from clarity. He doesn't invest in potential. He responds to presence. He doesn't try to fix you. He watches if you're willing to fix yourself. He respects effort more than appearance. And he sees your soul before he judges your shape. The tragedy is that many women don't realize what they've encountered until it's gone. The man who didn't play games, who didn't rush, who didn't perform, who didn't manipulate, that was the one. But she wasn't ready for truth. She wanted romance, not reflection. Now all she's left with is regret. And the intelligent man? He doesn't look back. Not because he's cold, but because he's wise. He knows that love requires timing, maturity, and self-awareness. And if you meet someone before you've met yourself, you will destroy what was meant to heal you. The world is not short on men. It's short on masculine presence rooted in emotional intelligence. That's what the intelligent man carries. He may not have a six-pack, he may not post quotes, but his energy restores safety, his eyes read your truth, and his silence speaks louder than your screams. You can't buy that. You can't fake that. You can't seduce that. You can only rise to meet it. And until you do, he will remain a mystery. Not because he's hiding, but because he cannot be accessed through superficial means. The intelligent man is a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. They only reflect. If you see beauty, it's yours. If you see fear, it's yours. If you see confusion, it's yours. He does not create your wounds, he reveals them. And that revelation is both the curse and the gift of encountering someone truly awake. Women will often say, "I don't know what it is about him, but he makes me feel naked." That's because he sees beyond performance. He listens beyond words. He holds space without filling silence. And in that space, all that's been suppressed begins to rise. Not everyone is ready to rise with it. Some would rather run, some would rather distract, some would rather demonize him than examine themselves. But the few who are ready, they become transformed. Not because of what he gives, but because of what he awakens. That is why intelligent men scare most women. Not because they are dangerous, but because they are mirrors. And in a world addicted to distraction, mirrors are feared more than monsters. But to the woman who is ready, truly ready, the intelligent man is not a threat. He is a homecoming. He is not the storm. He is the stillness after it. He is not the fantasy. He is the truth beneath it. And to love him is to finally love yourself without the mask. The journey to love an intelligent man is not romantic in the conventional sense. It is spiritual. It requires self-awareness, shadow work, emotional responsibility, and the courage to be deeply seen. And that kind of relationship doesn't just change your life. It changes your identity. To be loved by an intelligent man is to lose the parts of you that only survived in illusion. It is to let go of manipulation, fear, and performance. It is to replace survival with sincerity. Many women say they want this, but when it arrives, they are not ready for what it demands of them. An intelligent man will never ask you to shrink, but he will ask you to be real. He doesn't need you to agree with him. He needs you to be honest with yourself. He doesn't need you to mirror his mind. He needs you to bring your own. He doesn't want a follower. He wants a co-creator. But to be a co-creator, you must first be whole. And wholeness requires healing, not aesthetic healing, not curated quotes and weekend retreats, real healing. The kind that cracks open your ego and invites you to rebuild from the soul. That's the level he lives at. That's the love he offers. He has no time for blame games, no interest in passive aggression, no tolerance for emotional blackmail. He has transcended that, not because he's superior, but because he has suffered too deeply to play small. He knows what it costs to betray his own peace. He won't do it again. And if you try to engage him through dysfunction, he will not react. He will withdraw, not out of punishment, but out of preservation. He knows you can't heal in the same environment that wounded you. So he walks, silently, not out of pride, but because silence is the language of self-respect. The intelligent man is not here to fix you. He is here to witness you. And in that witnessing, you will either feel liberated or terrified. Because in his presence, the mask doesn't work, the charm doesn't land, the avoidance doesn't hide you. Only truth remains. He doesn't love you for who you pretend to be. He loves you for who you dare to become. And if you are brave enough to meet him at that level, you will discover a kind of love that doesn't just soothe your wounds, It alchemizes them. But many are not brave enough. They want romance without reflection, intimacy without inner work, commitment without clarity. And so, they dismiss him. Call him too much, too intense, too cerebral, too independent, too complicated. All labels used to avoid accountability.